Hi, everyone joining in. I will start in a minute. Hi, everyone joining in. I would be starting up out in just about a minute. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the YouTube Live. So, everybody who's actually joining in, my name is Seema Parakkat, and I'm the Associate Manager Outreach for the South Asia region at the GMAC. And today I am going to take you through the structure of the GMAT exam focus edition, its new features, as I said, structure, changes to the score, and of course, the timelines and what you need to keep in consideration when you plan things as well. Now, before I start, I just want to say that if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do make sure that you do hit the bell icon to stay up to date with all of the latest information that's actually getting released about the GMAT exam focus edition. So, as I've said, for everybody who's still continuing to join in, my name is Seema Parakkat, and throughout this session, what I will be doing is first taking you through the various features of the GMAT exam focus edition. And once I'm done with that, then I will open the floor to questions from you guys, and I'll try my best possible to answer all the questions that you have. So let me just try and see if I can share my deck. Just a second. I think I'm having a bit of trouble loading the deck. I probably have to kind of like take you through that without that itself. So just bear with me, guys. All right, I think I seem to be having a bit of problem with the slide. So what I am going to do is I'm going to actually take you through the information, and I'll just let you ask me questions as I actually move through this. So the first thing that I do love to talk about is who exactly is the Graduate Management Admission Council. All right. When we talk about the Graduate Management Admission Council, what people do not actually realize is that we are a global association of leading graduate business schools. And we were actually established in 1953 with just 9 member schools. Now we are about more than 225 member schools, and that list is actually continuing to increase. But that does not mean that these are just the GMAT accepting schools. That is much or a much higher number than 225. We do obviously own and administer the GMAT exam, which is used as a standardized assessment for both MBA programs as well as other business masters. But apart from that, we do own and administer the NMAT exam as well, which is used for management or graduate management education in India and other regions like Africa as well as East Asia. Plus, we do have the executive assessment, which is used for EMBA or executive MBA programs globally. Now, having talked about the GMAT and obviously what GMAC is, what exactly or where exactly is GMAT used, or how many people actually use the GMAT exam, or how many business schools actually use the GMAT exam? To start with, you would find that more than 7,700 programs across 2,400 institutions across the world, across 110 countries, use the GMAT exam as a part of their admissions process. All right. And every year, more than 200,000 candidates actually take the GMAT exam, and 9 in 10 use the GMAT for their MBA enrollments. And if you look at the top 100 ranked programs, you'd find that 7 in 10 use the GMAT to apply to these really competitive programs. All right. Now, with respect to the acceptance again, I get asked a lot of times, what can GMAT really do for me? And the first thing to remember is that if you really look at the candidate pipeline, or rather saying that the class profiles of some of the top business schools, you'd find that about 60 to 80% actually come from the GMAT exam. So that goes to say about what you should consider when you're looking at a graduate business education. Now, obviously, we are here to talk about the GMAT exam focus edition. And one of the important things is that there is a, change in the exam format. While, there are a lot of elements that actually remain the same to ensure that the exam does what it is supposed to do. That is, test certain skill sets, which will make sure that you are ready for the rigor of a business education or a graduate business education. Now, a lot of research has actually gone into it. I've already told you that, while GMAT was established in 1953, the GMAT was actually administered in 1954, the first time it was administered. And since then, it has remained the gold standard for, helping candidates find the best fit education for them, and for business schools to actually discover really talented individuals like yourself. Now, over a period of time, the exam has continued to actually evolve. You could say, integrated reasoning was introduced at some point, analytical writing was introduced at some point. Registration policies have also changed over the course of time. During the COVID time, we had the online testing come up as well. Now, all of these changes, is a continued effort to make sure that it continues to test your preparedness for business education. Now, with GMAT exam focus edition, there has, as I said, a lot of research that has occurred over the past couple of years to find what is the best fit, or to come to a result or an exam that continues to do the same thing or continues to actually test all of those skill sets. In that regard, GMAT exam focus edition is definitely shorter, making it one of the most candidate friendly exams now. It's more efficient because from a test prep experience, because a lot of content has actually gotten removed, your prep time actually reduces here. Also, from a perspective of both test taking experience, with a lot of new features that have gotten included, it's both efficient as well as flexible. All right. And most importantly, the exam is now becoming more insightful. meaning with your performance insights getting included for free in official score report, you will be able to understand exactly where you are going wrong and fix all of those problems when you want to kind of maybe take the exam again and improve your score, right? We're going to see all of these things, but the first thing I would probably want to address is what exactly is changing with respect to the structure of the exam itself. The first thing is, in the current version of the exam, you have four main sections, which is your quantitative reasoning with 31 questions, which you have to answer in 62 minutes with a score range of 6 to 51. And your question types are problem solving and data sufficiency. Then you have your verbal reasoning questions with 36 questions, which you have to answer in 65 minutes with a score range of 6 to 51. And the questions that you have here are critical reasoning, reading comprehension, and sentence correction. And please note that these are the two sections which contribute to the total score of 200 to 800. And you have integrated reasoning next, which consists of 12 questions that you have to answer in 30 minutes. In this case, you have multi-source reasoning, table analysis, graphics interpretation, and two-part analysis. And your score range is 1 to 8. And this is not a part of the total score of 200 to 800. And last, you have your analytical writing, which consists of one argument essay, which you have to answer in 30 minutes. So, how does all of this change? Now, in the focus edition, you will find that there are not four, but just three sections in which your analytical writing, the argument essay that you have to write for 30 minutes, that has been completely removed. You now have three sections, which is the quantitative reasoning, the verbal reasoning, and data insights, each with a duration of 45 minutes and each with a score range of 60 to 90. In the quantitative reasoning, you have 21 questions now with problem solving question type. Then you have verbal reasoning with just critical reasoning and reading comprehension. And in the data insights, you will find the both the integrated reasoning questions, which is your multi-source reasoning, table analysis, graphics interpretation, and two-part analysis, as I said earlier, plus your data sufficiency questions. Now, while there was a need for a shorter exam, as I've said, the whole aim was to make sure that it, continues to analyze your preparedness for your graduate business education. And in order to do that, it ensured that the right kind of skills remain tested, or there's a hyper focus on the most important skills like your critical reasoning, your problem solving skills, your analytical skills, and obviously one of the most important one in present world, which is your data literacy skills. So these are the things that continue to get tested in the focus edition, which is why you would find that sentence correction has been removed, and of course the essay has actually been removed as well. Now, a lot of you may wonder, what is the data insight section and how is it really different from the integrated reasoning section, right? So you can pretty much say that data insights is probably like the next step of integrated reasoning. What it essentially does is it brings together the questions from integrated reasoning and the data sufficiency onto one platform, and kind of like a newly calibrated data literacy dimension. Putting it very simply, it is testing you on your ability to look at data from multiple sources and apply them, or come to certain conclusions and in real world business scenarios. And in a sense, these three new sections that have come about in the Focus Edition, they together give one of the most accurate predictors of your preparedness for your graduate business education. So I talked about some new features getting included, right? Um, while where it is making it more efficient, it's making it more flexible, and of course insightful. These new features are one, the question review and edit feature. So what happens in the question review and edit feature is, now, before I actually dive into it, I think there's one important thing I must tell you, that the Focus Edition continues to be question adaptive. meaning that if you answer the first question, the next question is going to get harder. And if you answer the next question right, then the subsequent question is going to get harder. And let's say you got a question wrong, then the next question will be slightly easier. So that's going to continue like that. Um, and you cannot skip questions. You have to answer every single question until you reach the end of the section. That is going to continue. So what happens with question review and edit feature? As you move through the questions, let's say you come across a question that you're a bit unsure about, but you don't want to end up spending a lot of time, you probably make an educated guess, mark the answer, bookmark that question and move on. So you will bookmark questions like these. When you reach the end of the section, let's say you are in your quantitative reasoning sections, you have about 45 minutes, right? And you have maybe 1 to 2 minutes remaining at the end of the section. What you will do is, or when you reach that, if you have those 1 to 2 minutes, you will see numbered list of questions towards the end, and you will not be just able to review the bookmark questions, but you will be able to go back and review all of the other questions as well. That means your review is going to be unlimited, but you will be able to edit up to 3 responses. And ideally, you have just about the time to edit 3 responses. And of course, that will help you make some sort of impact in some of the questions that you feel that you definitely can make a change if you come back with a better or fresh perspective. So that's with question review and edit feature. The next one is selecting the section order. So in the current version of the exam, you have 3 specified orders that you can actually work with. But in the focused edition, you have 6 combinations that you can work with. So you can completely determine what you want to do first, or which section you want to do second, and which section you want to do third. One important aspect here is that unlike the 2 8-minute optional break you have in the current version, you here have 1 10-minute break that you can take either after the first section or after the second section. But a quick tip probably is that make sure that the order that you are actually going through, you kind of determine it when through your preparation or while you're doing your practice exams, so that you can make the best use of it. Now, the next one is the improved score report that you will be getting with the GMAT exam focus edition. If you guys know, we now have something known as an enhanced score report that comes at an additional fee of $30. This gives you a lot of performance insights. What's going to happen with the GMAT exam focus edition is all of these performance insights plus additional insights are going to get included in your official score report at no additional cost. So this means, let's say you do want to take the exam again, you will have all of those insights, detailed understanding of your strengths, weaknesses, the areas that you've gone wrong, the areas you've gotten right, so that you will be able to improve upon those things. But that's not it. You have performance insights, your percentile ranking by content domain, question types, fundamental skills. You have, let's say, you sent your score report to a specific B school. You do know that you have 5 programs to which you can like send 5 free score reports along with your registration fee. Now, you can see your percentile ranking basis other people who have sent the score reports to the same business school if you send your score to that school. So you can gauge your performance or your the possibility or how you stand or how you stack up against other people who have sent the score reports, right? Plus, you will be able to see your time management and performance. And also, you have insights into the summary of question review and edit feature. So, all of this information would be based on past 5 years of data, and it gives you an accurate perspective about your performance. The last one, or the last one of the best features, is I'm sure a feature that is going to take off a lot of pressure from your mind, which is an improved score sending process. Now, for me to talk about what's really getting better, I definitely have to talk about the difference between the score sending involved in the testing at center and the online mode of delivery. So, in the online mode of delivery, what happens is that um, you can go ahead, write the exam. Once you complete your exam, after 7 days, when you get your official score report on the MBA.com, you get a 48-hour window to select those 5 free score reports that I spoke to you about. And you can contemplate very calmly and then decide which programs you want to send those score reports to. Whereas in the testing at center, right before you write the exam, you have to select those 5 programs. Then, once you complete the exam, you do have an option of canceling your score, which you can reinstate at an additional fee later. So, what's happening with the focus edition? So, this flexibility that you have with the online testing, that is going to get moved to the testing at center as well. So, you are going to have complete flexibility, complete control over your score sending. You will be able to make a better or a more informed decision as to which programs you want to send your score reports to. More importantly, one another thing that's actually getting changed is that at this moment in the current the GMAT exam as it exists now, when you send your score reports, let's imagine that you have taken the exam thrice, and when you send your score report to the business school will be able to see all the 3 score reports. I mean, all the 3 scores from your 3 testing appointments, right? What's going to happen with the focus edition is that you will be able to send the exact specific score from the particular testing appointment that you want to send to the business school, and they will see only that specific score, that is the total score and the percentile ranking for that appointment. So as I said, the kind of flexibility, the kind of benefits that's actually coming your way with the focus edition is quite a lot. So that's about the features that are coming with the focus edition. I'm going to pause for a moment and talk about maybe what's changing and not changing. In one aspect, it's, I guess, really important to note that the acceptance does not change. Remember how I spoke to you about the huge numbers with respect to more than 7,700 programs accepting the GMAT exam? Well, the GMAT exam focus edition is also going to be accepted by all of these programs and all of these business schools, and that's not going to change. You still have your online delivery mode as well as your test center delivery mode. That's not going to change either. All of your processes kind of remain the same, your registration policies remain the same, your exam fee for both test center and online remain exactly the same, but of course you do get few additional benefits. I'm going to pause for a second. If I request everybody to keep typing in your questions into the chat. Once I'm done explaining all of these features, I will make it a point to take in the questions from you guys and try to answer all of those questions to the best of my knowledge. And now, moving on to your total score, you'd find that your current version of the GMAT exam has a score range of 200 to 800, whereas in the GMAT exam focus edition, it is 205 to 805. But in the GMAT exam focus edition, it's important to note that you have 3 sections contributing to the total score. But I am going to discuss the scores in detail. Um, One important thing here is that the 5 attempts in a rolling 12-month calendar period with a 16-day waiting gap between the 2 testing appointments, that still remains the same. In terms of 8-time lifetime limit, that also remains the same and is applicable across both the versions of the exam. That means if you have taken the GMAT exam, the version that exists now, twice, that means you will have 6 attempts remaining in your GMAT exam focus edition. So please do keep that in mind. And with respect to identification requirements, that remains exactly the same as it is. The passport continues to be the major, ID requirement, but please do make sure that if you do come from different regions, that you go ahead and check on the MBA.com what identification requirements are specific to your place, and then accordingly make sure that you enter the respective information in your application or the registration, as well as make it a point to take it when you go for the exam. Any mismatch between your name, your birth date, from the ID proof can forfeit your entire exam fee, and you'll not be able to write the exam as well. So please do make sure that you check all of the requirements in advance. Coming to the next one, which is the evolving score scale. I did tell you that the score is changing, right? So in the current version, you have two sections contributing to the total score. In the newer version, you have three sections contributing to the total score, which is the quantitative reasoning, verbal reasoning, and data insights. And your total score ranges from 205 to 805 in increments of 10, and your section scores range from 60 to 90 in increments of 1. So this 5 at the end of your score, one, it does help both you as well as the business schools identify the GMAT exam focus edition scores, because the GMAT exam as it exists now, that score is also going to be valid for 5 years. So if you took the existing version right now, that means that is going to, from the point that you take it, is going to be valid for the next 5 years. The business schools are going to receive both the existing GMAT exam as well as the GMAT exam focus edition scores, and there is no preference between either of them, but they will look at the percentile ranking to compare both the scores if they do want to compare at all. And how does that work? um, the point is, please do not compare the scores directly. Like, don't think that, oh, 640 on this is X on the other, the GMAT exam focus edition. Um, the ideal way to compare the scores would be to look at percentile rankings. Let's say if I have a percentile ranking of 75%, that means I have performed better than 75% of the test takers. Okay. Just to give you a sense as to how the score has been recalibrated, if I scored, let's say, a 605 on the GMAT exam focus edition, that would be me demonstrating my competitiveness to be at around maybe 72nd percentile, which is equivalent to a 640 in the GMAT exam version. All right. Does that mean the exam is getting harder? Absolutely not. It still continues to do the same thing, which is you get an easy to medium question, and then it keeps scaling up as you proceed in the exam. The exam adapts according to you. It's question adaptive for a reason, right? So it's just recalibrated scores and not a test that's actually getting difficult. And if you're wondering, do the business schools know about this? 100% yes, they're completely on board, they're completely aware of these changes. In fact, they have worked very closely with us, both for the GMAT exam focus edition as well as the scores. So there's not going to be a problem there. Now, if you do want to get more information regarding the scores, I'd suggest you go to mba.com/scores. You can find the concordance table there. So a lot more detail section wise and everything would be available for you to actually go through. And if you're wondering, what prep materials to actually use, what books should I use, where should I practice from, do I have practice exams? The good news is that the official materials were launched on June 6th, and you have your practice exams for the GMAT exam focus edition, practice exams 1 and 2 for free on mba.com. So please do make sure, if you have not created your account, go ahead and create your account, take the exam and see for yourself. You do have a 6-week study guide that which uses the prep materials, the official prep materials that you can actually go through. And of course, the starter kit is also there with a lot of game center quizzes and a lot more practice that you can actually get. So all of this is available on mba.com. That's the official website for you to both register for the exam as well as get all of the information necessary for you to go through this process. And besides this, besides the free materials, we do have the practice exams 3 and 4 for purchase, and we also have the practice exams 5 and 6 also for purchase. So you'd find the materials for both the exams, the GMAT exam that exists now as well as the exam focus edition. Both of the materials are available there. All right. Plus, we have the official guide, the quantitative review, verbal review, and the data insights review also available for your purchase. And three question sets or question bank, which is for quantitative reasoning, verbal reasoning, and data insights. About 100 plus questions each are there to give you a fair sense of what will be tested on the actual exam. So all of these contain retired questions from the GMAT exam, and they are the perfect indicators of the kind of material that you're going to find on the actual exam. Now, I know that a lot of you might have already been preparing for the GMAT exam. And of course, the Focus Edition has already opened up for registrations. November 7th onwards, the appointments or the testing starts globally. We've also, released the news that the current version is going to sunset or, stop on Jan 31st. And from 1st of Feb onwards, you only have the GMAT exam focus edition. So if you are thinking of transitioning into the GMAT exam focus edition, I'd say please don't worry. I'm sure that, in all of the information that I've actually given you right now, um, you'd find that the questions essentially are not changing. The overall format is changing. The scores have been recalibrated, so it's easy for you to transition from the existing form into the new form. You don't have to worry about that. What I would really suggest is go ahead and take a practice exam and see how you are able to actually handle it, and see if you actually require additional practice, and go ahead with that. So, and if you are wondering, like, should I take the current version or should I take the newer format of the exam? I'd say that, please focus on the timeline, because if you are, looking for round one and round two, a lot of the deadlines are already over as well. But essentially, even if you still have round one and round two occurring before November 7th, then you're definitely looking at the GMAT exam that exists right now. But if you are looking for maybe round two and round three applications for later, then you can consider taking the GMAT exam focus edition. So that's it from my end in terms of the information that I want to actually share with you. But let me actually take questions. So, um, is Focus Edition sectional adaptive? No. So it is not section adaptive. It is question adaptive. That is within a section. It's question by question adaptive. Kumar, I hope that answers your question. Mayur, can you recommend any specific organization which can get proper coaching for the same? Mayur, you know what? What I would prefer would probably not be the best fit for you. What I could actually suggest is for you to actually go to different people who are offering this coaching, and ask them to kind of like take you through the materials, take you through the resources, as well as the kind of training that they offer you. Try to understand whether a personal, one-on-one tutoring works for you, or a group session actually works for you, and basis that, when you actually try out all of these things, or you might find that you actually can deal with it directly, or self prep as well. So you'll have to kind of figure that out as to what fits you the best. So ideally, that's probably the recommendation that I have for you. Kumar, can GMAC try for 1-to-1 score conversion between classic? As I said, it doesn't make sense, because if you actually look at the scores, you'd find that there's two sections contributing to the total score in one, and in the other case, you have three sections contributing to the total score. Then you also have, let's say, in this case, there's a lot of flexibility that's getting introduced. There's a lot of benefits that's coming in. The score has been recalibrated. Ideally, it doesn't make sense to compare the scores directly, but what does make sense is to look at the percentile ranking. So that's the way to actually go. So that would be my suggestion. Dhriti, will it be right to say that all of the good colleges in GMAT are not financially friendly for the students? Oh, you know what, Dhriti? One of the best things is, and probably the less known things, is there are many scholarships and funding opportunities that are actually available. You have need-based scholarships, the funding that's available for candidates. Most of the schools actually provide it. You have merit-based scholarships that you can actually look for. In fact, about I think 85% of the schools actually, provide merit or give the funding through the merit-based scholarships. What they really look at is your performance and your, let's say, work experience, your academic, performance, and the kind of things that the initiatives that you have actually taken. So that's something worth exploring. Plus, I'd not say that, it's not financially friendly. I think it's quite financially friendly because the return on investment when you actually think about an MBA program is quite good. So yeah. Can I change the test date for my exam? If so, how soon can I take the test? Ideally, I'm not 100% sure, Tanya, what you meant, but I think, let's say you did book your appointment, and ideally, I'd say you must try to book it at least 2 months in advance, primarily because just to ensure that you get the slot that's what do you call you know that's suitable for you, the time that's actually suitable for you as well, and go ahead and book the slot in advance. You can reschedule your exam. Rescheduling does happen at a certain fee. If it's more than 60 days before the appointment, that costs you about $55 delivered at the test center. If it's about 15 to 60 days, then that's about $110, and 14 days it increases. But the point is, ideally, try not to reschedule it and try to take it on the specified exam date itself that you booked, because that should give you a certain goal to prepare or work towards a specific date. So I hope I've answered your question. Does Tanish, does admission to universities depend only on GMAT scores? I'm not very good with exams. Who is? But it never seems to leave us, does it? So, I'd probably say that, GMAT scores is actually important, but it's just one part of the whole. There are multiple factors that the business schools actually look at when they look at giving you an admit. They look at your work experience, they look at your academic performance, they look at the kind of essays that you have submitted, other initiatives that you may have taken, have you contributed to your community, and a lot more. But I wouldn't say that GMAT exam is the score is not important, because if you look at a business school, they do get application from various places. I mean, all across the world, and you'd have candidates with really good work experience, really relevant work experience. There would be people with really excellent academic records, and maybe some people with really strong essays and other things that they might have done. GMAT in that entire mix serves as a sort of a level playing field, to make sure, let's say you get a really competitive GMAT score, it kind of helps you differentiate yourself. So I'd say that it is an important aspect. And to be honest, having prepared for it myself, um, it's a very fun exam to deal with. It's not your typical exam wherein you have to go through the rote method of learning things by heart, applying formula. You tend to learn a lot of things. Your critical thinking skills really develop while you prepare for this exam. So I think go into it with a really open mind and a really positive approach, because it's a really fun exam to deal with. Smriti, I think I've kind of answered your question. Is GMAT hard for a regular student? I think I have always been a regular student. I wouldn't say that I've been a stellar performer, but having gone through the exam, gone through the process of, I've even taught it. So you would find that there is, I always say that different people are at different stages of their skill sets, and these skills that I've been kind of going on talking about are the ones which are really essential for you to succeed, not just in your business education, but also in the career that you take up after that. So I'd say that, maybe you're starting at a different point, but with due diligence, with due planning, and, chalking out a realistic schedule, you should be able to do well on the GMAT exam. So, Tushar, how many times can one take the GMAT? So we do have a lifetime limit of 8 times, but in a year you can take it about 5 times with a waiting period of 16 days. Hi, Pooja. I think, oh yeah, yeah, great to see you here too. My question to you is regarding the data insight section. That would this section be way more difficult than the IR section of the current version? No. I don't think we should directly compare it to the integrated reasoning section for one reason, because data insights is a combination of the questions that you've seen in IR plus the data sufficiency questions, right? It's going to have a fair mix of math, analytical, and verbal questions. So, while you may see a lot of big numbers and jargon and that sort of thing, the whole purpose of the data insight section, it testing you on data literacy, is for you to actually weed out the necessary information from weed out the unnecessary information, come to the necessary information for you to make that logical conclusion or give that logical response. So while seeing big numbers can look daunting, actually it does not involve it's not that difficult. Let me put it at that. You just have to understand how to approach it, what it is actually looking for. That's just about it. Because when you go into, let's say, after your MBA or after your business masters, when you go into an organization, you are going to see huge chunky numbers or data, whatever it is, but the point is, how do you make sense of it? And that is what data literacy is. And your ability to succeed in that kind of scenario, to use data to make informed decisions, that's what it's essentially testing you on. So that's just about it. So I hope I've answered that question. um, and I think that's just about it. I don't see any new questions. So I'm just gonna wait a few seconds. So if you guys are wondering, is the exam difficult? Um, you're welcome, Pooja, and thank you for joining in today as well. For everybody who has joined in the middle, my name is Seema Parakkat, by the way, and I handle the candidate outreach and TPO relations in the South Asia region. And if you have not created your MBA.com accounts, I'd suggest you do, but make sure that you do enter your name exactly as it is in your identification proof, as well as your birthday as in your identification proof. um, and if you're not following this channel, to do make sure that you're subscribing to it. We continuously keep posting updates about the focus edition and a lot more information and more sessions like these. And we'd be happy to take in suggestions and bring in more videos as well. So any more questions? So that looks like it's a wrap with respect to the questions. I hope I've been able to answer all of your questions, and you've gotten a clear picture about what's there in the GMAT exam focus edition. For more information, as I've said, stay tuned to this channel, as well as the most accurate information that you'd find will be on the MBA.com. Otherwise, you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well, and you can directly send me your questions, and I'd be happy to answer them. But otherwise, that's it from my end. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody who has taken time to join in today. I really appreciate that, and all the best to you guys.